This afternoon we have an extremely illustrious panel of people ready to give us an update on where we are in the South African context. I'm going to ask each of the panelists to firstly introduce themselves, and then we will kick off with an update on South Africa from Tabani, who is the Director General within the Department of Energy, and Corinne Breitenbach, who I'm sure everybody in this audience knows, who is the head of the IPP unit. We will then pick up on a couple of the key topics that are kicking around in South Africa at the moment. We obviously have a whole renewable energy program that is significant into the program. We have baseload coal about to arrive, and we have gasification, which is fairly imminent. So we'll really try to pick up on the key themes. We have speakers from Marubeni and Aqua Power, who are very actively involved across all of the technologies. Kribs Govender from Sasol, and Zahid Sibda from Fieldstone, who has been a very significant financial advisor in this space. So I think we really have an ability to cover quite a lot of ground. I think that clearly gas is going to be one of the major focus points as the next massive program that really gets underway. And what I will try to do is to leave enough time for some questions and answers, because we have everybody on the floor. So, Tabani, I wonder if I could ask you to kindly just kick off by introducing yourself.
Thank you. My name is Tabane Zulu. I work for the Department of Energy as the Director General in the Republic of South Africa.
I'm Corinne Breitenbach, and I work for Tabani.
Paddy Padmanathan with Aqua Power. We have been present in South Africa for the last 5 years. We have got an operating CSP asset. We have got a few in tender, and we are a technology neutral, fuel agnostic operator, investor, developer of power generation and desalinated water production assets. And therefore, as South Africa continues to broaden the fuel base and the platform, we will continue to participate in the IPP program. So we have submitted tenders in the coal. We very much look forward to the gas program. We're a very active participant.
Yusuf Hafaji from Marubeni, one of the big Japanese trading houses. We're very active in the region, participated in 2 coal projects, successful in the Botswana 300 megawatts coal, and quietly confident on the 600 megawatts South African coal. We are a bit of a late starter in the renewable, but looking at the acquisition space of renewable and renewable within the region. We're also going to focus a very strong team for participation in the gas to power program. Thank you.
Yeah, Kribs Govender from Sasol. We are an integrated energy and chemicals company. We currently have gas to power assets in the region and actively pursuing that.
Zahid Sibda. I used to work for Mike Pio, and now work for Yusuf, independent advisor from Fieldstone, advising across the continent, primarily in the energy and infrastructure space.
Great, thank you very much. So, Tabani, I'm going to ask you if you could maybe start off for us by just talking us through current ministerial determinations, where we're sitting at the moment. Are there any significant policy changes that we are likely to see? I'm going to ask Corinne to talk very specifically to some of the process timelines now, where we are sitting with expedited coal baseload announcements, etc. But maybe if you could start by just giving us a heads up on any significant policy shifts that might be coming, or just really where we end up with ministerial determinations.
Thank you very much, Mike, for that opportunity. Let me start by indicating that as part of developments that are taking place in the South African perspective in different areas of our energy mix, this is basically informed by the energy policy of 2008, which our government has passed through and which led into the establishment of the Department of Energy that is currently in existence, which I'm responsible for its leadership together with my principal. So we have been working very hard in a number of areas, and I'm sure that when also Karen makes some reference into different programs that we have been doing in the IPP era, that's a reflection and a background of how we've been working hard on the ground to try to give effect to the implementation of that policy. This relates then to the RP policy which was developed which has defined our energy mix policy as a preferred option, which dates into how many years are we going to be doing this between now leading to 2030 as part of our targets. We've identified specific areas, and some of those areas in our country we have been dealing with specific issues. Amongst those issues, we have looked into issues of fossil fuels, and we have looked into issues of biofuels, and the issues of wind, hydro, solar, natural gas, as we have also indicated that in your opening remarks, but that also including shale gas, where the government has also created a space for exploration should the need arise. We have also looked into crude oil and obviously the nuclear program as well. So South Africa is currently pursuing all these various strategic areas in terms of implementing or giving effect into the policy of 2008. Now, we have then decided to focus on specific areas, and our minister has made specific determination in trying to make sure that we are able to give effect much more practically and to adopt a much more pragmatic approach in dealing with the implementation protocol of our programs. Our particular interest mainly of late has been mainly on the gas issue. Our minister has recently stated that we have to make sure that we improve on our defined gas policy, but in so doing, the minister has also decided to say we must, as a country and as government, developed a very comprehensive gas policy. But in so doing, he has then made specific determination and made specific directives that we need to do in the implementation area of our gas program. And this has led into government reviewing the working arrangement that we have had with our strategic partner, which is IPP office, and we have then extended our working relationship, particularly by giving them some more mandates to give effect into the implementation of gas. Our focus into gas is mainly gas to power, with the aim of moving towards the goal of lower fossil fuel-based generation, which will also introduce about 7,000 megawatts of gas-based open cycle gas turbines and closed gas turbines capacity within the same time frame. We are embarking on this process, and we have also agreed to go out and ask for requests for information and expression of interest by trying to attract interested parties to deal with this. Our IPP office, under the leadership of Karen, and I'm sure that when Karen makes her input, she will also give a much more detailed information. But currently, we have about 3,200 megawatts that we have already agreed that they will be working on. But in line with the same mandate, we have also added about 600 megawatts in this particular area. It is our view then that this will create some opportunities in this gas in a number of areas, particularly with regard to issues of thermal use, chemicals and fertilizers, which Office South Africa is currently a leader in the development of gas to liquidity plants and with significant volumes that we want to see increasing. At the moment, we need to work very hard in ensuring that identified areas where we think some of this work will be done, such as the feedstock for the GTL in our facility, which currently exists in our country, which is Mossel Bay, and we'll have to make sure that an opportunity is then created for gas imports and exploration does exist in this particular area. So we're going to make sure that we, as we go out with the implementation, we exploit and develop the shale gas resource in an ecological, sustainable manner, as I've made reference to that, but also to make sure that we also promote justifiable economic and social development in our country. As you know, that South Africa is a developing country, and at the same time, whilst we are very much keen to make sure that we create economic development, a conducive environment, what we don't want to also compromise environmental related issues. And our policy is very clear on that, that whatever that needs to be explored in any area of gas, there has to be a proper environmental impact assessment that must be conducted prior to any project being dealt with. And all of that will be looked at in the eyes of our IPP under the leadership of our IPP office. We are also busy from a legislative perspective to create sanctity with the Petroleum Products Amendment Bill. This is very critical for us. At this particular point, you'll also understand that from 2008, upon the policy that I've made the reference to, we ended up with two different departments, one dealing with minerals and one dealing specifically with energy. And this has created an element of uncertainty. So as a country, we are currently busy working on that, and I can assure you that before the end of this financial year, from a policy perspective and legislative perspective, there will be a very clear guideline in terms of how we intend to deal with this. However, as it stands at the moment, Department of Energy, together with the IPP office, are working in different projects that relate into this particular area. Amongst other areas that we have identified is the coal area. We have done sufficient analysis in terms of our base load currently and how it is assisting the government to provide the energy from a security of supply point of view. And we do understand that there are certain protocols we have entered into with international bodies in terms of compliance insofar as the issues of reduction of fossil and so forth. But nevertheless, we feel very strongly that we still have to make sure that we sustain the supply of our baseload electricity from a coal perspective. And for that reason, we have also added another requirement of coal whereby megawatts at the number of 16,383 should be pursued. This is meant to make sure that security of supply is sustained between now and 2030, whilst at the same time we are trying to comply with the commitments that we have made as government. Having said that, we are not also shying away from the fact that our independent power producer procurement program for South Africa has done very well in the past, and would like to make sure that the area of renewable energy is also pursued. And I would also ask that current does reflect on how are we dealing with renewable energies, how far are we in terms of the procurement process that we have started, and when do we expect to make specific announcements in terms of how effectively are we dealing with the procurement regime process for renewables. We feel that as a country, our energy mix, if we want to make sure that we sustain the provision of our electricity without any hindrance, without any challenge in terms of load shedding, as we have experienced such a challenge in the past, will require a different mix. And we have identified that the renewable energy is also a strategic area that needs to be pursued quite effectively in ensuring that our country is not going to find itself in this particular challenge moving forward. And we have committed ourselves that South Africa will never again find itself with load shedding challenges. In conclusion, Program Director, sorry to take a little bit of your time. We have also identified nuclear as one of our areas of focus, and the Cabinet has then issued a directive to the Department of Energy to continue with a strategy of procuring nuclear, and they've requested that we work on a request for proposals, which we expect to release very soon. What we have done to date to give effect to the implementation of that particular decision by our Cabinet is to appoint a group of transactional advisors with a different skills of set who will be assisting us. They have concluded their work. I will be receiving their report in the next week or so, whereby specific recommendations as to how should we go about pursuing our new nuclear program is going to be, taking cognizance that at the moment we have only one plant in South Africa which is responsible for this particular area, and would like to add more, again, making sure that we comply with all related environmental issues as part of our international signatory as protocol. I think in a nutshell, Program Director, these are the areas that currently we are dealing with, and we hope that this will attract a lot of interest from potential investors who may have an interest to actually invest in the areas that I've identified. And I can assure all of you that there are quite a number of huge investment opportunities that South Africa is currently pursuing as part of its economic development strategy. And I must also assure you that our systems are in place, financial systems are currently running quite effectively. There is no risk whatsoever in taking an advantage of the investment opportunities that our country has created in this particular energy sector area. We are looking forward to engage effectively with different investors that might need a much more detailed information that they may like to share with us. We'll continue to focus on our green economy strategies. We are also focusing on industrialization. I must also indicate that in terms of our local policy, we also want to make sure that we continue to empower, in particular, black people who have been quite peripheral in this particular area, and women empowerment strategies. So as you develop your strategies of engagement, please take care of our existing legislated policies that are aimed in ensuring that we achieve certain historical challenges that our country has gone through. And this will make sure that there's sanctity in the manner in which we procure and work with those who are highly interested in these particular areas. I thank you.
Tamani, thank you very much. That was a very, very comprehensive update, I think, in terms of where we're heading. Karina, I'm not sure if I misunderstood the Honourable DG, but I think he's just given you permission to make some announcements on REAP Expedited and Baseload. So, Karina, if we can maybe ask you to just give us an update of where we are with all of the programs.
Mike, thank you very much. I think it's very nice to also have the DG here at the Energy Forum, African Energy Forum. In the past, I think it was me and my team who came here and sort of shared with you our views and our new initiatives. It's very, very good to have him here, and I think it's also very good from our point of view to hear the certainty with which he gives direction. And I think that's just taking it from the past and going forward. I think that it must give people comfort that we know where we're going and that we will make our commitments going forward. Just from a program point of view, we still have got our flagship, the Renewable Energy Program, and we're still running as per the original plan. I think what we did is we had between 1, 2, and 3, which we've closed. 3.5, which was the 2 CSP projects, we've closed 1. We were basically waiting for the other one. And then on bid window 4, which was a double up, you remember the 13 that became 26 projects. We're in a process of getting ready to close them. We've closed 1 of them. We hope by the September we would have closed all of them. So going forward, then it is the announcement of the 1,800, which we call not the bid window, but the expedited window. We are very, very anxious to announce on that one. I think that's a lot of good news that will come out of that announcement. And as far as I'm concerned, it will happen in the next few weeks. The department is busy looking at what we have done. They're busy asking questions. And as a team, we are basically giving them confidence or comfort that we've looked at all of the issues in a responsible way. But, I mean, at the end, they take the responsibility. And when the DG signs, it's over to him. So I think we're in that little last leg of before announcing. I think he's also very eager to announce, because I think it's a lot of good news. On the bid window 5, we are busy adjusting the documents a little bit. We are working very closely with Department of Trade and Industry. As the DG has indicated, a big part of what we want is to re-energize, if I can say it that way, our industrial development. So we hope to create a green economy, and we are looking at how can we achieve it better as what we've done thus far. So the document, I hope within a month or 6 weeks, we will present to the DG a new version of the RFP. I mean, we're not going to just change it from one to the south to north. It's not going to happen. But I think we've learned a lot of things, and as we've done it in the past, we're tweaking and we're making it a little bit better. But they will then sign off the document and we'll go into round 5. He has given us the go-ahead. He just wants to see the new documents. So I hope that by the end of the year or early next year, we'll run our bid window 5. And we also need to look at the new integrated resource plan. We may speed up a little bit, or we may slow a little bit. It all depends on what comes out of the integrated resource plan. But you can understand that having the intention of an industry, we can't now suddenly stop. Then our whole plan to have an industry will just fly out of the window. And therefore, we're going to have to run our 1,000 megawatts every year to make sure there's a market for the industrial development. So that's where we are with, and just on top of that, Minister has given us a determination of 1,500 of solar in the Northern in the Northern Cape. I mean, we're very excited about that because that one brings whole new opportunities. I think industrial development can benefit a lot from that because it's a big, one big announcement. So it can definitely help us with the industrial development. But I think it also gives very nice opportunities for Black economic empowerment. Our Black groups have been involved from day one in the renewable energy program, and I think this is now the opportunity to test how far we can get with that. Obviously, funding for Black economic empowerment in our environment is very important, but the DG and I have discussed, and we have got a few plans. We want to discuss with all the banks and basically put them in a corner, but we also want to discuss with our development finance institutions and the PIC to see how we can try and encourage and increase that in the new rounds, but also definitely in the expedited round. In the 1,500. As far as coal is concerned, I think Paddy bid and Yusuf bid. I mean, again, I can't wait for the outcome of the coal program. I really think it's going to be really good news for South Africa. It's big. It's a big investment, and it would definitely help us with foreign direct investment and getting the economy going. It will definitely help with industrialization. But I think the outcome, I really think it's a good outcome. So again, I don't want to announce it, so we'll leave it to the DG and the minister to make the announcements. And I know coal has got its question marks, but we also have got a team now looking at cleaner coal. We visited Japan about 2 months ago, and we're definitely going to look at how can we be cleaner to support the country in its new trajectory. And before we go with between those two, I think we're going to have to sit down with the policymakers and discuss exactly what we should be doing, what the impact of cleaner coal would be, tweak the documents, but I still believe we can get another round depending on the IRP out next year, early in the new year. I think it's also good for the ZAR market because we need to give you a little bit of breathing space. It is really big. I mean, the coal program is big. So that's from a coal point of view. Obviously, we're still trying to do cogeneration, which we haven't had really big success in the cogeneration space. But I think that is a nice challenge, but we're going to have to think clearly and new as to how do we make it affordable in our electricity environment. And then lastly, it's the big gas. As the DJ has said, we have got the gas to power program with which we want to anchor gas in our energy mix. So it's not only about electricity, it's about how do we change South Africa from a coal-based economy to a more cleaner economy. We do not have gas, but therefore we need to use the gas to power initiative, anchor LNG imports, see how we can handle the risk of a hard currency in the mix. We've never had to deal with hard currency in the tariff of electricity. We're going to have to put our heads together. We were in meetings the whole time since we arrived here in London with groups to talk about this, to understand what they would expect from us, where the risks are, etc. We are still very excited about it. But then there's also our neighbors have got a lot of gas. How do we engage it with the DG and his team as to is there opportunities for us for regional engagement, etc. And then obviously we hope with what we are doing and the DG's plans for upstream legislation to make sure that we provide an enabling environment for the exploration companies. We create the market with doing the gas to power and trying to get industrial gas going. How can we make it attractive for exploration companies in shale gas, as the DG said, as well as offshore drilling, etc., possible? I mean, that whole initiative has come to a halt. And we believe, and talking to the groups who come to visit us, they're excited about that. We just need to give them an enabling environment. And in my discussions with the DG, he's very clear. It has to be an enabling environment. And whatever we do, we must make sure it is that. So I'm excited about it. I'm scared. I mean, as I was when we started with renewables. But you know what? If we take it step by step, we engage with all of you. You tell us what we should be careful looking at. Maybe we're going to get it right, and then everybody will be excited about that program also. So that's from me.
Excellent. Corinne, thank you very much. Paddy, then maybe, I mean, the good news is that there is life after round one on the coal side. I mean, I think we've all understood that given both the currency challenges, etc., it has to move into cleaner coal. Paddy, maybe you can give us your thoughts on what that means for how you develop and how you keep pursuing the opportunities. The other very obvious question or issue is the engagement with DTI. We already saw baseload having a far higher level of BE participation and local content or localization components, so that obviously is going to be maintained. I think we can take that as a given. How does that affect you? How does that help you to keep winning sort of mandates as we move into, let's call it,